Real Madrid have swept away everyone they've played this season, but how will they fare against Atletico Madrid this weekend? This is football. Fast, no faff. Let's go Route 1. If you've been enjoying Route 1 since our launch, you'll recall an early feature called Stick With Me But, in which we invited you to make outlandish predictions for the coming season. Mine was that West Ham would get relegated. I'm happy with that. But I nearly suggested new Real Madrid boss Xabi Alonso would be sacked by Christmas. Kind of glad I didn't do that, actually, on reflection, because this week's 4-1 victory over Levante was their 7th straight win. Kylian Mbappe has scored 7 times. He looks to be in the form of his life, and everyone just seems really happy, which is handy, really, because this weekend they face Atletico Madrid away. Dermot Corrigan is the Athletic Spanish football correspondent. Dermot, it's all going so well for Alonso. Is it as calm over there as it looks? And also, while we've got you, Atletico Madrid picked up a big win last night. Have they turned a corner now after their disappointing start?
Yeah, the new season has started really well for Alonso at Madrid. Results couldn't have been any better. Performances haven't been perfect, but there's a real sense of a new project, new coach in Alonso, a guy who's popular for his playing career at Madrid. New players like Matt on the wing, Argentine teenager. Carreras at left back has been really good as well. And a new style of play, a much more kind of modern football, high pressing, high intensity, looking to win the ball high up the pitch, looking to break quicker. It's kind of welcome change around the Bernabeu because things have gone a little bit stale towards the end of Ancelotti's time in charge. And Alonso has brought a new optimism, really, new positivity around the place. Kylian Mbappe has been the big beneficiary for Madrid. You know, he's looked really good. He's the team's leader now, scoring a lot of goals, coming up for them in big moments. But as it's Madrid, there's always some tension. The biggest issue at the moment is how Vinicius Jr. fits into this new system, where Mbappe is the main man. Vinicius is a bit of a secondary character. But Vinicius scored a really good goal in the win at Levante on Tuesday, so it looks like Alonso knows what he's doing. First big real test though for Madrid is the derby at Atletico on Saturday afternoon. Simeone's team have had a rough enough start to the season themselves, so they got beaten at Anfield in the Champions League last week. But they got a real morale-boosting win on Wednesday at home to Rayo Vallecano, 3-2 win, and the Metropolitano was rocking. It was a real ding-dong battle, and Atletico came out on top. Julian Alvarez got a hat-trick, including an absolute belter from long range for the late winner. So Atletico will go into the derby on and up. Shaping up really nicely for Saturday. Just kind of hope there's no repeat of last year's scenes when the Atletico Ultras threw things from the stands at Madrid keeper Thibaut Courtois. Used to play for Atletico. The game was held up for 20 minutes. So hopefully that doesn't happen, and hopefully it's another belter of a game on Saturday.
Dermot Corrigan is the Athletic Spanish correspondent. If you haven't tried The Athletic, you really should. Head over to theathletic.com. You'll almost certainly find a special offer. They've generally got one. It's really well worth it. I used to work there, so you might think that I would say something, but the first thing I did when they switched off my free one was just buy my own one. It's well worth a look. Hey, Nottingham Forest returned to Europe last night after a 29-year absence, and they very nearly secured a fine result. They were 2-1 up on Real Betis with 5 minutes to go when Route 1 signing of the summer, Anthony, scored a late equaliser. Not a bad night's work for Ange Postecoglou, though, and a nice brace for Igor Jesus as well. Forest are still without a win under Postecoglou, though, so it's been 4 games now. How is it looking, Matt Davies-Adams? And does the success of Jesus last night mean the gradual phasing out of Chris Wood?
Shaping up very much like early Spurs era Ange, creating so many chances going forward, but incredibly susceptible to conceding. All the fun of the Postecoglou fair, essentially. Been unlucky not to win a game so far, and I think /hope the momentum, adrenaline, feel-good factor from Wednesday in Seville will supersede any fatigue from a tough game and the subsequent travel. Squad much more suited to Ange ball than Nuno's style, in my opinion, but as long as we have some fun in Europe, I think Forest fans are okay with a drop-off in league position this season. As for Chris Wood, I think he was being saved for Sunderland. Now, Igor Jesus might have changed that with his brilliant brace, but in Wood's favour, Arno Calamuendo, who came on instead of him against Betis, was atrocious, so Wood should be ahead of him at least for now. He'll definitely have his role to play this season, but at the same time, I'm pleased that Forest aren't solely reliant on a 33-year-old striker as they were throughout last season. Oh, should also say, Elliot Anderson is amazing. That is all.
Matt Davies-Adams is the host of the What the EFL and Straight Outta Cobham podcasts, both of which are brilliant, and both are in the episode description. By the way, Igor Jesus was the first player to score in Europe for Forest since March 19th, 1996. Can you name the last player to score for Forest in Europe? We'll give you the answer at the end of the show, and there are 5 imaginary points up for grabs. There was a nice win for Roma in Nice last night. Celtic drew 1-1 with Red Star Belgrade, after which Brendan Rodgers called for a bit of realism, saying, "We are where we are. This is a good point for this group of players," which sounds to me like a man who's ready to move on just as soon as West Ham swing the axe. In last night's Carabao Cup, would you believe it, the 4 Premier League teams only went and beat the 4 League One teams that they were drawn against in that gutless contrivance of a cup draw? Who knew? Holders Newcastle eased past high-flying Bradford with Joe Linton and William Asula scoring 2 goals each before boyhood magpie Andy Cook sprinkled a tiny bit of romance on the evening by lashing one in off the underside of the crossbar to make it 4-1. Manchester City had a routine 2-1 win away with Huddersfield. Phil Foden's excellent goal and assist performance, and Jayden and Reagan Heskey, sons of Emil Ivanhoe Heskey, getting on the pitch for City for the first time together. It was the same scoreline for Arsenal at Port Vale as Eberechi Eze opened his account for the Gunners before Leandro Trossard bagged a late second. And finally, Spurs ran out 3-0 winners over Doncaster with a João Palhinha overhead kick and a Brennan Johnson breakaway goal, either side of an own goal. A lovely Lucas Bergvall pass on that third goal, by the way. Well worth checking out. In Spain, Real Sociedad picked up their first win of the season, 1-0 at home to Real Mallorca, while a Julian Alvarez hat-trick earned Atletico a crucial victory ahead of this weekend's Madrid Derby. Simeone's side saw off Rayo Vallecano with a late winner. That one ended 3-2. And last week, you may recall that we said Club Brugge were a lot of fun this season. Well, last night they drew 5-5 with Westerlo, so it might be worth catching them away at Atalanta in the early Champions League kickoff next Tuesday. There's loads more football on tonight, all the rest of the Europa League games, including Aston Villa against Bologna. We're also eager to see what happens when Rangers meet Genk, and we think Salzburg versus Porto is the game for the hipster in your life. They're all on TNT. If you get out of work early, you might get home in time to see the best-named club in European football, Go Ahead Eagles, making their first appearance in the proper stages of a European competition since 1965. They face the artists formerly known as Steaua Bucharest. Oh, and there's a couple of La Liga games too. Barcelona are away at Oviedo, and Osasuna take on Elche. Those are both on Premier Sports. Oh, and the last Nottingham Forest player to score in Europe, Steve Stone, in the 7-2 aggregate defeat to Bayern Munich. 5 imaginary points if you got that one right. That was Route 1. It was football fast, no faff, and it's here every weekday around about 3 p.m. If you like it, like it. If you want to subscribe to it, subscribe to it. I've been Iain Macintosh. Your audio producer was Helena Fremantle, because this is a podcast as well, in case you wanted to listen. Your video editor was Deane Thrussell. Your video producer was Shaun Nickless. Chris Smith was in the writer's room. Lola, Katz, Roberts and Sophie Manners were on website and social. And Bilbo the dog slept soundly throughout this recording, which is kind of fortunate, all things considered. See ya.